Hello, welcome to the week that was, a week in which there were two major stories which were about a lot more than just their headlines. The first was the fallout from last weekend's dramatic events in Saudi Arabia. The Lebanese Prime Minister resigned whilst in Riyadh. Houthi rebels in Yemen fired a missile at Riyadh International Airport, which was probably supplied by Iran. Dozens of high-ranking princes, officials and businessmen were arrested as part of an anti-corruption drive. Even the head of the National Guard, Prince Mete bin Abdullah, was caught up in the sweep. What, asked the world, is going on in the House of Saud? What links all these events and more? Answer: Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The 32-year-old Crown Prince is moving quickly. He feels he has to. He's concerned about the growing Iranian influence in the region. He knows he must change Saudi Arabia's economy away from a reliance on oil, and he knows there'll be pushback inside the kingdom from more conservative elements. So, Mr. Hariri, who holds Saudi citizenship, resigns from the Lebanese government whilst in Saudi Arabia and issues a strong condemnation of Iran and its proxy army in Lebanon, Hezbollah. This weakens the Hezbollah-dominated government, which the Saudis regard as, at least, hostile. As for the missile, which the Saudis say was supplied by Iran, Riyadh has said this could constitute an act of war, thus continuing to build the case that Iran is a destabilizing, malevolent presence in the Middle East. This is all headline stuff, but I'd argue the most significant move was the anti-corruption arrests. This was groundbreaking power play by the man who will be the next ruler of the kingdom. The Crown Prince knows there's a growing desire for change. More than 70% of Saudis are under 30 years of age. They're socially media savvy. They want to be part of a connected world, and that requires modernization in both economic and social terms. So the arrests really need to be seen in the light of the Crown Prince's Vision 2030 plan. Out with the old, in with the new. Speaking of out, the Syrian government this week said that ISIL had been chased out of its last urban stronghold in the country. It said IS retreated from the town of Abu Kamal, although some reports suggested there was ongoing resistance. Now, you might remember last week we said that Iraqi forces were coming the other way and squeezing ISIL in the Euphrates Valley. That's still happening. ISIL's so-called caliphate now consists pretty much of sand and the internet. It's still a force to be reckoned with, though. So, the other major event, President Trump's trip around Asia. He traveled to several countries, but it was about one thing: the relationship between the USA and China. Everywhere he went, Japan, South Korea, other countries, he had to reassure key American allies in the Pacific to stick with the USA and be confident it will back them against an increasingly powerful China. Related to this was his speech to the South Korean National Assembly, and that was tricky. He sought to say he will deal with the threat of North Korea, partially by leaning on China diplomatically. But he also said all options were on the table, which potentially means war, which South Korea fears would devastate its capital city, Seoul. On to China, where he said very nice things about President Xi and hinted there wouldn't be a trade war. Publicly, the Chinese politely applauded, whilst privately they continued to prepare in case there is one when he gets back home. In the UK, Prime Minister Theresa May was again in the thick of it. Last week, her Defence Secretary resigned. This week, she lost her International Development Minister. It's starting to look careless. Priti Patel had gone to Israel, met government ministers, including Benjamin Netanyahu, but, said Downing Street, she hadn't actually told anyone in the British government about it. Furthermore, she'd visited the Golan Heights, which the UK doesn't recognise as Israeli territory. She resigned, but no one has yet managed to ask her this question. Did you know the UK's government policy on the Golan? If not, why not? If you did know it, why did you go there? Now, talk of the UK government collapsing over this is far-fetched. It retains the ability to win votes in Parliament and so probably will stagger on for the foreseeable future. What everyone agrees, though, it's a mess. Finally, something lighter, very light in fact, the magnificent Louvre Abu Dhabi. The museum was inaugurated. The lattice design of the dome of the building allows natural light to fill the spaces inside. It also simultaneously protects from the sun's heat. And the 23 different galleries all have their own design, and they house numerous European masterpieces on loan from the Paris Louvre. There's also works from the Chinese artist Ai Weiwei. There's priceless artifacts from the Middle East, including a 2,600-year-old Sphinx. This is in with the old, but it's also new. And it's a statement of artistic intent from the UAE. That was the week that was. See you next time.